Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Jenny Norris, host of Home Staging Talk Show Live, and it is a beautiful day. Had that song playing in the background. So welcome, welcome. Glad you can join us. We are streaming live to a couple different platforms. So if you do comment, please sign your comments so we know who you are. That would be great because we are not able to see who you are in the comments when it's streaming to multiple locations. Anyhow, Home Staging Talk Show Live is brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. And have some announcements to make first, and then we're going to bring our guest on, Jeff Wong. So you're going to hear about logistics and running a company and some other great stuff because I know he's always wonderful at sharing. But so first I wanted to share this with you. Let's see if I can get myself minimized. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and play. How many of you have been looking at our Technovation? So this is conference coming up July 14th, 15th, and 16th. It's 2 days of education. And then the third day, we are going to actually take people on tour of the market, which will be really fun. So let's get this one. So I can play this. This should be a video. Sorry. Here we go. Oh, sorry. It's like the same one. Anyway, so the Technovation, it is a new thing. We've never done anything like this before where it's strictly, focused on the tech and bringing different platforms and apps and systems and things that you need to know to be more successful in your business. Very excited about what we'll be bringing in the different speakers we're going to be having joining us. So that, again, is the July 14th, 15th, and 16th. You want to get tickets before prices go up because they will be going up. And again, we're going to have a really great speaker lineup for you. So let me show you this one. This is actually what I wanted to show. Let's start it over again. Let's start this over. Okay, ready? Okay. Oops. There we go. Let me go back here. Okay, this is the promo video. You may have seen it. It's only about a minute long. And here we go. The wrong shape. This is the vertical fitness effects. So that one is actually the vertical version. So I know some of it got cut off, but you can kind of see we're going to be talking about social media apps, the best ones to use, learning how to podcast if you want to write a book, do course creation, content creation, all of those things, host or chat GPT, AI tech, all of those things that are very much in the forefront right now, learning how to use those for your business. So it's not just like, what is it, but how do you apply it in your business, from everything from social media posts to creating content. It could be a course you're writing or a guide. The AI tech is pretty fascinating and also a little scary because it's almost like that movie, I, Robot, where the robots are, getting smarter and smarter. I feel like that's happening. Our theme for the gala is going to be 90s techno, because iHouse was 25 years old. So it was founded in 1999. So you could even go with the Princess Party like it's 1999, or kind of have the it's not disco, but it's like 90s techno. So that's going to be the theme of the conference gala. And we're going to be having different awards. So those of you that are submitting awards, great. The deadline will be, I believe, May 1st. You have until then to submit in your different categories. So the awards at the conference in Atlanta will be the individual recognition awards for like vacant property, luxury, regular vacant, small square footage, the individual awards, team awards. Those are the ones you want to be submitting now for recognition in Atlanta in July. So again, don't miss the deadline. It is going to have a cutoff, and then they'll have a a panel of judges judging, and then possibly a public count as well, or judging as well. But anyhow, don't miss out on that. So a lot of you had asked about the awards and when those were coming out. So those are now. So get your submissions in, and you can find that on the IHOSP site. You can look and find the awards portal for submission, which is really exciting. And thank you to all of those who have submitted already, which is very exciting. We are also happy to announce that we are bringing back the membership calls. So the first one, I believe, is going to be March 27th. Amy's going to be leading that. She's calling it the happy hour. And so probably have a different look and so forth. But we announced this via email that the membership calls are coming. We will determine the frequency based on the survey that we sent out. We asked if you wanted it once a quarter, 6 times a year, or more like a monthly time, but just taking a couple months off for like the summer and the holidays. And so we will take a look at the outcome. It was leaning towards 6 times a year or the quarterly. And so each call will have a different topic and, probably announcements and so forth. And if you would like to be interviewed on the call or have suggestions and so forth, just please let us know. It would be great to get some input on that. All right. Same thing with the talk show. If you want to be a guest on the talk show, all you have to do is just let me know. There's actually a form you can fill out on the IHOSP site, and it will ask you a series of questions, and then you can pick the date that you'd like to be on the show. So it's going to, it's fairly easy to do. So here are some things that we've been working on. We haven't done a show since January, and part of that was just getting back from that Vegas conference, and, some people got sick and so forth, but we want to get back onto a regular schedule. And but we've been working on things behind the scenes. So one of them that I'm happy to announce that is launched as of today is this Young Professionals in Home Staging and Design, Elevating Entrepreneurs and Future Leaders. So this is sort of an initiative with IHOSP to bring in the younger professionals, but also provide a forum for them to be able to communicate, collaborate, meet colleagues and so forth with their age demographic. And so there's a Young Professionals Facebook group. There's a Young Professionals Facebook page. There's an Instagram account. It's on LinkedIn, and we'll do something for TikTok. But basically, I was been thinking about this. Those of you that have watched the show and have heard me share even at conference, that the industry, there's a lot of us that are aging up into the industry. I've been doing this 22 years. I've always served, and so at some point there's going to be people leaving. So then there needs to be people stepping up. And I called it step into service, step up into service and into leadership for the industry. And what I realized in our conference in Vegas is we had a lot of really great speakers. One of them was under 30. I think there was only one under 40, a couple that were in their 40s, a few, and then 50s, and then a couple that were over 60. So I looked at that and I thought, we need to have the young professionals represented not only at our events that are speaking, but also in leadership. And so the way to do that is to create a group that is, geared towards the things that you guys deal with, the young professionals, things that you want to learn and see and so forth that might be different than, someone who's in their 50s or 60s. And so, yes, we're all young at heart, I know. However, my son, Steven, is a young professional. He's in his 20s, and he belongs to a young professionals real estate group. And we attended an event recently. And so they actually, within the event framework, they had sub meetings for the young professionals would kind of peel off and do different things. And so that was sort of what motivated me to create something for the industry, because there isn't anything. I looked online before I did all of this. And I thank you, Jonathan Miller, for helping with the logo selection. We did have it done professionally and then honed it down. These are very popular colors, as we know. And so, but I did look online, and there isn't really anything for young professionals in our industry for home staging and design. And the reason I don't have real estate on there is because real estate already has a lot of young professional groups with it. So it's not like real estate agents can't join the group. It's more that they already have theirs, and we didn't have one for the creative side. So if you're interested in being part of this or joining the group, just go to the Facebook group. You can request to join the page. You can follow on LinkedIn. Again, you can look to join that group when it's set up, and Instagram, there's already a profile on there. And my vision is that somebody other than myself, because I'm not a young professional, I was at one time, but somebody other than myself would be sort of leading this aspect of our industry under the umbrella of IHOSP and so forth. But to have the faces be of the younger professionals, so they can recognize themselves and see themselves reflected in the industry, And as they grow their business, they also hopefully will grow into leadership within the industry. So that is the goal of the group. If you have any questions on that, feel free to message me or email me. And I would love to have all of you younger professionals, ages 20 to 40 is the target, ages 20 to 40 in this group. So that was very exciting. And then along those lines, we have something we're calling the Brain Trust. So the Brain Trust are it's going to be comprised of the seasoned stagers, those of us that have been in business a long time, that have a lot of knowledge that we want to be able to pass down and pass along to the younger professionals that are getting into the industry. So it will be a handpicked group. And again, if you would like to be part of this, you just have to let me know, that will be helping to mentor and educate some of the younger professionals. And whether it's in person or online or what have you, being able to pass along knowledge to help them succeed. Because what we don't want is people to get into the industry and then it's fun and it's creative and so forth, but it's a lot of work. And you're going to hear from Jeff about the logistics side. Running a company is not easy. So I feel like it's our responsibility to pass that information on to the next generation of professionals that will be taking the industry forward. And so that's what the Brain Trust is about. And if you would like to be part of that, and it, hopefully there'll be some income behind it as well, not just, sucking your brain dry. We want to reward people for participating and being part of this, but it's going to be, not a massive number of people, but enough that we are touching all the different areas that these young people need to know and learn. And also the relatability factor will be key. And so along with that, it all kind of leads us to Leadership Academy. So we've been talking about a Leadership Academy with IHOS for quite some time. And so it is frameworked out as far as what is needed for the Leadership Academy. And then the Brain Trust, the goal is to have the Brain Trust people participating in the Leadership Academy, teaching and inspiring the younger generations. So they all kind of go hand in hand together. And I already know some of you have reached out to me even before all the graphics and stuff were done. And we've been talking about this for over a year, probably 2 years, wanting to do something official for the industry. And I feel like the critical time is now. And there's no time like the present. So if you would like to be part of this initiative with IHOS and helping cultivate and mentor future leaders in the industry and be part of the Brain Trust and then be involved with the young professionals in that capacity, just let me know. You can comment here on this video or the show, or you can reach out to me via email, jennie@iahsp.com, or you can message me on Facebook. All right. So I'm very excited about all of those. It's going to be, make a huge impact in the industry. So again, the conference in Atlanta, July 14th, 15th, it's 2 days of education on Technovation. And so what is Technovation? The video talked about that. It's the fusion of technology and innovation. And so when Amy and I, after Las Vegas, we were in Nashville for a business workshop, and then sat and kind of came up with, some plans for Atlanta. And one of them was the name. We had to come up with the name. So, we sat there tossing ideas around, and I came up with this one, putting it into actually Chat GPT, what would be the blending of these different words. And so Technovation, that was the impetus for it. And it is for real estate agents. So you're welcome to attend, home staging professionals, interior designers, anybody that wants to learn about the technology and innovation. We've got some amazing platforms that we are partnering with that we're going to bring to you in Atlanta. Everything from being able to shop and purchase without having to have minimums and so forth. That's one platform. There's another one that's going to be your ability to, it's almost like having a transaction coordinator in real estate, but having this for staging, somebody that can monitor your different agreements and so forth, make sure you're hitting all your deadlines. It acts as a CRM. There's other ways to monetize your services and things through this platform. And it's going to take the real estate industry by storm. And IHOS will be the only preferred association tied to this. So I've negotiated that already. It's going to be huge. And there's income opportunities as well for you, not just referral business, but that will be there. And then another platform that we're working on with, industry partners and so forth that we'll be bringing to the conference. And so you don't want to miss out, because it's the first people that get all the information and they understand how these things work. we'll be the first ones to implement and the first ones then to benefit from the different relationships that we are building. So that will be in Atlanta. And of course, we'll still have creative topics, marketing, sales strategies and so forth to help you grow your business. That's always what the goal of our events is. But I am very fascinated with how the tech is growing using AI. And I mean, that AI robot, that whole thing, it gets smarter and smarter the more that it is implemented within a framework of a platform, for example. So stay tuned, because I think you guys will be very, very excited about what we're going to be doing there. So get your tickets. You can go to technovationevent.com or ihosconexpo.com. That one still points to the site, or you can go to the website and you can find under events, you can click on the conference information, and then you can get your register. And we do have team pricing as well. All right, so I think that's it for the announcements for now. Please also make sure to check the different groups and pages that we have on social media. We email you. We've been known to text and so forth. Our whole goal is, how do we get the word out to our members, because we don't know where you are on social media, what platforms that you prefer. So we're kind of everywhere on those. However, you need to then be proactive and stay tapped into what we're doing. And if you don't know what an event that's coming up or what have you, please feel free to reach out to us on the site. Anyone of the executive team, we can help you. And that would be our pleasure to be able to give you some education on what we have coming up and how you can tap in and be part of it. Okay, so now I'm going to bring our special guest in. So Jeff, it should give you a countdown. And let me see, do this. Hey, there you are. Oh, and I have you muted, sorry.
Okay, you got me. There you go. Good morning, everyone. So thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And so those of you who don't know who Jeff is, go ahead and introduce yourself. And I have some pictures I'm going to be sharing as well that I found.
Okay. I am the director of logistics for Tata by Cat. Tata by Cat is a staging design company that is founded by Kathleen Trelinos, my wife. And the interesting thing, of course, is we started this well over 10 years ago as a real estate company, Living the Dream Team. And both of us sold homes for builders as well as standard realtor. And as I got into the business, immediately I recognized, staging was the industry that we really needed to focus on. So I made a pitch to Kat and how we needed to put it together and how we should pursue this. And she thought it was interesting, and she went with it, and off we went. And she started to get better and bigger. And ultimately now we're a decade later, award-winning company. And she gets a lot of her businesses from referrals and reviews. And we're awesome. Very proud. Yeah.
She's great. So I took a couple pictures up here of this was a week after your wedding. Evidently, I found that picture online. I love it. And then this was a more recent picture from last fall. And you guys are just such a great couple. We were able, so John and I knew Kat, of course. Hadn't really met you as much. And so in Rome in 2018, that was when we were really able to spend some time together and travel. And that was just really, really fun, great memories. But I'm going to throw these two pictures up too. So besides that background, Jeff has a very interesting background. He's a performer, a musician. He's done production. He has videos he's done. He has a publishing company. So here, can you see these pictures, Jeff? You may not be. There's one of you. There's one of you.
Oh,
these are great.
Yeah.
So he's very talented with the guitar. He was in a band, so kind of like, he was one of like the hair bands back in the day, but very talented. So your whole background has been in production, and then being able to kind of parlay that into a business, as far as, because what we do is we're producing results for clients. We're producing a look, and the behind the scenes is really what's important. So this picture of you with the American flag, where was that taken?
That was when I was working for Kawai, the Japanese piano company. I was their directors of artist relations for Houston, and they came to Houston to build their first company-owned piano gallery. And I knew at that point that if they're going to do that, we need to expose the instrument to the world with new talent. So I started recruiting local talents, and ultimately led to the movie that we produced, The 13th Note, and all that. But that was a shot live that I produced, a Houston Blues Fest.
Oh, wow.
That was sponsored by Kawai. We had piano, we had the local talents, and It was great because, you know, piano industry itself has just this focus on academia, which is universities, classical music. That's what we all kind of associate grand pianos with. But let's, you know, make no bones, Elton John has made a good living playing piano, so has Billy
Yeah.
Joel. So yeah, I made sure that we were very much in the so-called game of contemporary music while I was holding that position. And it was very interesting because I, you know, like you said, I've done a lot. Although performance, I did a lot of that. I worked for Warner Brothers in distribution, so I got to see the inside of the entertainment business and record business. I was raised by my grandfather, who was a very well-known actor. So from the day one get-go, I was never raised in the traditional 9 to 5 type of family. I was always, you know, brought into stages and sets and things of that nature. So I saw things that most people didn't see. So when staging came around into my life, it made so much sense. You know, I just knew everything already from the theater and the movie making side of it. You know?
Yeah, it kind of comes full circle.
It sure did. It absolutely did. And one of the things, you know, that what I took the title of director of logistics is because what I've found through my career working in entertainment, I worked in music instrument manufacturing. I have certifications to represent piano manufacturers such as Steinway and Sons, Kawai, Yamaha. So all these things parlayed into new home sales, realtor, and all those things. And with the association of great branding, you get great training. You get to see the infrastructure of how each industry works. And that's what I start to recognize on my own, that a lot of companies are struggling is because they're not really looking outside of the box that they created to work with. And when I got to see some of these things and express that to whether it's folks I worked with or folks I was friends with, I started getting hired as a business consultant to restructure a certain flow. Sometimes I got actually hired to fire people that was dead weight. And that was, you know, interesting because these were my friends and coworkers that somehow got too long in a tooth and started taking advantage of the system and the owners. And the owners didn't know how to deal with this. So I came in and had to revamp a certain paradigm, a certain workflow. And when they balked at it, it gave the owners then a reason to say, hey, maybe we're not a good fit anymore. So with those type of things.
I think a lot of staging professionals, the HR side of, like, you know that somebody's not necessarily a good fit, but you hate having to be the one to axe them. I was talking to Blair about this, Blair Hamady, and he's kind of like, I'm like that. I'm like, you know, it's not that I don't recognize when somebody's, you know, messing up. I tend to, like, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt, give them another chance and so forth. And so Blair and I were laughing about that when we were in Europe, because I'm like that too. My daughter, though, she has no problem. So when we were gone in November, one of our movers, he started out great, and then he just started getting like this diva attitude. He wouldn't even get off the truck. And he had a lot of experience, but he was sort of like, you know, I'm going to be organizing the truck. These other guys can be lifting the furniture. And then he did a no-show while we were gone. And so my daughter was like, you know what? We have other people that are reliable, really want this position. And so she just told him, we don't need you anymore. I felt badly because I felt guilty. However, but it's also, it's a company, and you need people that are going to follow protocol and understand that it's a business, and time is money. And so I think the logistics side that you're going to talk about more, that's where I think a lot of staging business owners struggle and ultimately could even fail, because everything relates to the overhead, how efficient you are. So talk a little bit more about that role and what you have learned, you know, to not to do, and what some things that are good to do.
Well, the first thing that you have to do, I think, as a business owner or a boss, is to identify what path you want. In other words, what is the end result? Are you interested in high-end staging, luxury staging? Are you interested in occupy? You have to kind of identify these key components, because without it, you really can't map out a good path that is going to help you to kind of reach your goals. And you have to have an intermediate steps of these goals that you're reaching, so you can test and check yourself on the way there to the end results, so you can understand, am I doing the right things or not? You know, So that to me is a key. I'm on Facebook a lot on the staging groups. I read a lot of stuff. I rarely ever comment. But what I see is people really struggling, what they're not really understanding about the industry. So the first and foremost, I would say for anybody who's within the business of less than 2 years, 24 months, and you're having a hard time, you need to get education from like IHOST. And the reason why I say this is not because, you know, we're involved in this great organization and I'm a lifetime member with my company with you. It's because it's true. Every business, whether I'm selling you $1 million home, a $100,000 piano, a $25,000 BMW bike, that certification gives you confidence, number one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Number two is it gives your buyer, your prospects, a peace of mind that they know you have knowledge to solve their problems. And you have to kind of address. So that's key. If you have not taken, if you're really telling everybody, oh, I'm a stager, there is not any reason that you're not attending conference and taking the master class. There's no reason for it because that shows your dedication. If you don't have skins in the game, it's really hard to convince yourself in your mindset that you need to get up and meet these goals every day. Right. And most people fail at the logistics aspect of it by saying to themselves, I'm the boss, I can hold off on this and then go on do something that's more pleasurable, more entertaining, and more interesting to your personal self. This is why it's so important to know when you get into this business, I love staging. What do you love about it? Oh, I love the creativity. Okay, what part of the creativity do you really like? And most people stop right there because they're just like, oh, I just like to put stuff together. Sorry, a lot of people like to be rock stars, but if you don't sit there and practice, it's just there's a guitar in the corner of your room, you know?
Right.
And that's the same thing that I'm seeing is that a lot of people want, but not understanding the effort and the energy it takes. And number one thing that I always encourage everybody to do, you have to write it down. You have to write down your goal. You have to write down your end result of what you're searching for. You have to give yourself a scheduled time on meeting these goals, intentions. So if you're saying in 24 months, I need to be in the black, be profitable, to make money, I can't survive just, you know, cutting my so-called discounts or just to bottom feed to get the job. Because ultimately, that is not how good business and good companies survive.
Right.
You will be out of business pretty quick. You know,
think,
if you operate with that.
Yeah, and I think the two things you've mentioned, you know, the education is a big piece. I think a lot of, you know, because there's so much information out there, you know, YouTube and Google and so forth, people are trying to put it together on their own. And that the time it takes to learn all of that is much, much longer than just taking a course, whether it's a specific niche that you need to learn, an aspect of your business, whether it's pricing or what have you, or an overall foundation. It shortens your success journey greatly. And I love what you said about people identifying where they want to be in the business, because people are, oh, I love staging. Well, you know, I love staging too. And when I had to make the choice of, do I stay in the field or do I run the business side? I like winning business more. I like, you know, I like bringing the business in. I like working with the clients and so forth. And, you know, and so I have the team in the field. And so as people grow their business in the beginning, it is all you. And then, and I love what you said about focusing on what kind of niche you want to have. Do you want to do just consultations? Do you want to try to get into the luxury market? So being very strategic about where you put your time and effort and how you market yourself and your brand, that all feeds into that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the key factors, like you said in the beginning, is you're pretty much yourself. So you need to start looking at the bigger picture immediately off the bat. And I preach this big times in my company. You need to build a team. Yeah. You cannot take this on by yourself and thinking you're going to be successful like everybody else that you admire, because they have teams. They have great people. And you have to take efforts to constantly recruit and understand how to find great people. And to me, that's number one. Two is know what your strength and weakness is. As a boss, you need to know that, so that way you know how to build the strength around you to elevate your weakness. That is key.
Yeah, and that's what kind of June talked about that at the conference, related to the type of business person, and then she also touched on the ADHD element. But knowing what your strengths are, your superpower, and that what your not power is. What are the things that you avoid? Like you talked about, you have to time block, set certain things aside to be able to build your business. And what we'll do is we'll go, yeah, I got to get to that, but I want to do this first. And she talked about that whole, like the adrenaline, was it adrenaline? The rush of the pleasurable, release in your body, that thing that makes it, that makes it like
endorphin.
The endorphin, yes. You get the endorphin rush. And so you gravitate towards the things that are pleasurable, and you want to avoid the things that you don't like. So the things that that you're avoiding that you don't like could be like your accounting or, organizing stuff, or even the sales side. If that's something you don't like to do and it's a necessary part of business, then you need to find someone else who can help you in that aspect.
Yes, absolutely true. Or step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to take the reins. You got to take the bulls by the horn if you want to be a boss. You got to set those kind of precedent and that kind of mindset to yourself. You got to have that kind of confidence. And I think a lot of folks that I've met that fail at doing things is because, number one, they let their fear drive their decisions. I don't like talking to people. And they end up doing 8 hours of social media. And then they're wondering how come the phone's not ringing.
Right.
Right? Okay, look, I get that social media is important, but that isn't your money maker. I can promise you that. Your money maker is you. You need to go shake hands and kiss babies and say hello to people so they know you exist. Right. Your company exists. And I know for a lot of people that's extremely hard to do. Like, for instance, if you went to a BNI breakfast and you get to stand up and do your 30-second or a minute elevator pitch. Most people are sitting there just going, oh, please, 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 just don't let me choke. Oh, please, please, please.
And their heart's pounding.
Yeah, it's kind of like giving a book report in 5th grade. I mean, what was the thing about, why is this stage fright thing? What is this fear? What is this panic that you're feeling? You can get rid of that by doing several things. Number one, educate yourself with knowledge and know that knowledge like the back of your hand. So it becomes a habit. That confidence takes that fear away. I promise you, I can walk on a stage in front of 10,000 people, and as much as I can walk in front of 10 people and play music, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's me doing something for them. Right? Me doing something for you. So the key component in logistics, especially on new business less than 24 months, you got to be seen to be relevant. That's key.
Yeah.
That's
out of mind.
Absolutely. So
and
easy.
you're right about social media. There is, within the social media, people are posting and so forth. And if your posts, for example, are not public, you're not going to necessarily be found by somebody who's looking for a professional stager, short-term rental designer, whatever, on Google, because Google doesn't, if your profile isn't public, and mine is not, because I don't, there's been issues, you're not going to be found. And so you have to use the platforms that people are going to find you. You can engage in groups. There's a lot of really great groups within social media. So it shouldn't just be like you tooting your horn on your profile and going into like a private home staging group and asking questions or posting stuff. You're not going to get hired for business. But if you go specifically to the groups where your clients are, that could make a difference. And then doing forward-facing, one-on-one, attend events, pick up the phone, make calls. You have to cultivate those relationships. And as long as I've been doing this, we do get a lot of business on referral. We have a lot of repeat clients, but I have to continue to market. You have to continue to have a presence out there. Otherwise it is out of sight, out of mind.
Absolutely. There's no question. I mean, let's look at something we all are very familiar with, television shows. Okay. Blue Blood and Law and Order has been on for decades. Why are they still promoting this thing when they're telling new episodes are coming? Because it's a non-stop campaign.
Right.
And this is how you need to treat your business. My business is on a marketing campaign 24/7, somewhere, somehow going on. The other aspect of it, what I find, is the content that you're marketing, presenting yourself. You got a business card? Okay. Is that it? You know, you have to look at how the world is interacting with each other. You know, with the, of course, your uh, conference coming up talking about tech is going to be huge. I really do believe that. And I think everybody who's serious about their business needs to go and attend this because at this point, most people who's 35 and over are not savvy enough to really realize what the technology is giving you.
And they're going to get passed up. I mean, it's without tech, we lost your visual there for a sec, Jeff. So without the, video is so important. Video, you see that everywhere. Right. And then, the engagement, like Johnny Fowler, for example, he's, such a great social media font of knowledge. Hashtags on Facebook, you don't have to put them out anymore. They're useless. So what they're looking for now are phrases, so that when people are looking for like, what, I don't know, phrase like staging my house in, right. Denver, Colorado, or how do I get, they're actually doing phrases. So those are the things that we need to know to stay on top of. But more than that, it's, I know for some of the older generation, it's like, oh my God, now I got to learn something new. And I'll tell you though, the AI and the whole chat GPT, that actually gives us our time back. And I think like with logistics, I mean, something as simple as standard operating procedures. How do you run your company? And those are always evolving. That needs to be something you put into place from the very beginning so that anybody you bring in understands how your operation is supposed to go. Well, you're thinking like, well, I don't know what to put on an SOP. There's examples. We teach this in the master's course, but you could go to one of the, chat GPT or the AI things and say, write me a great standard operating procedure for a home staging company that stages 10 houses a month or whatever. You can put all these specific criteria and it'll spit it out for you and then you can customize it. So I feel like there's no reason why people don't put things in place. And now even the lack of what to put in it is not really an issue because the robot will go and scrape the internet, it'll find things and put it out to you. So learning how to use that effectively, the whole AI is going to be, it's crucial for moving forward.
Well, it's definitely your pal and buddy. There's no question that intelligence is there to serve.
Yes.
However, I do believe the key component is that you need to understand the process, which is the logistics of why. This is why, to me, the master class is so important, because you do go into details regards to day-to-day operation. What is this chain of command all about and so forth. If you never owned anything or never had a family business, rarely you will get this from corporate America. Right. In corporate America, it's very compartmentalized. So if you work for somebody that you're always only part of the cog, you will never really get to see when you start your own business, what is the priorities, what are things that must have, what is back burner stuff, what things have to have deadlines, what things don't really matter at this time. These are all key things that, number one thing I always believe that from my experience of all the conferences I've been to, is the wealth of knowledge of all the members that when we're sitting around having coffee, having food, and start talking about, and they go, I had this happen to me. And then we go deep into these stories that ultimately we kind of all pull together somewhat ideas. And saying, oh, what that happened to me, I think we would have handled this way or that. And no. So to me, those kind of interactions is key components for people who's in the business under 24 months. They just need to arm themselves with knowledge. They need to understand what they want. They need to know their path. And then they need to know how to build by, do you need to hire out? Do you need to use a service like Fiverr? Do you want a full-time or a part-time someone like a kid that's in high school who's really good at Instagram, and the key thing comes down to is that how much money. Oh, I don't have all kind of money to do all these things. Well, if you wanted to start a restaurant and sell tacos and you got $5, then again, you're not really being realistic. So the same thing with staging is just because you like making things look good and look pretty in a room, if you don't have the resources and so forth, then you need to back that up and you need to start putting together a plan and saying, where can I get resources? What are my low-hanging fruits? Do I have family members? Do I have credit scores and those type of things? Now, I'll give you one in regards to the logistics of not wasting time. Small Business Administration. I've dealt with this organization from our government several times, including record labels and so forth. I'm going to tell you, it's a big waste of time. It is a big waste of time. You don't need to go through them. You just go through a bank, because all they're going to do is give you a bunch of hoopla. They're going to underwrite and so-called insure from the government. No, it's all a hoax. You know, they're going to drag you through the ringer and make you give them all this paperwork, and they're going to go, no, we're just, you know, why? Because you have no credit score, or not high enough, or collateral, or, you know, and they're just going to give you a whole list of things, just like if you're buying a house. And if you already knew that going into it, you wouldn't be wasting all that time. You're going, I just did 4 months of this with the SBA.
Right. At the end, you have nothing. Well, and there's actually, and speaking of like self-funding your growth, Stephen talked about that at the conference in Vegas, different ways you can actually self-pay. There's actually KJL Lending, who's on the iHosp site. They actually do loans that are not tied to a collateral thing, because that's where, you know, you're brand new, you don't have a company that's an asset yet, you don't have any like tangible things like a vehicle, maybe you don't own a home, so you think like, I can't get a loan. Well, you can. I mean, there's grants, there's different angel lenders and so forth, but you know, there are ways that you can fund your business. So, you know, educating yourself about that, and then knowing like, when would I need to tap into that? How much does it cost to actually start up a business successfully? And we're actually really fortunate, because in general, the staging industry is not, it doesn't take that much to get started, especially when you, again, focus at consultations first is what I did, because nobody was staging vacant houses when I got started. And those are your brain, your ideas, the ability for you to communicate to the client, handle the client, and then maybe you have a template or forms you're filling out or what have you. It's very low cost, but you can make good money at it. And then as we saved up money, then we were able to purchase and do different things. But the plan, the logistics and the plan, and like, for example, how people load up for staging. I'll see this in the groups. You know, I used to take everything. Like we had back when I first got started, you know, towels, for example, I had this big, huge bin of towels. I'd bring that entire bin to a house. But I only needed like 3 sets of towels. So I finally said to myself, why am I hauling this big giant thing? I didn't have movers back then. It was me and one of my girlfriends, and a thing, I don't need to bring all this. So then I'm like, I'm going to only take what I need, bring a few little extras, but you start planning and you do everything. If you can prep everything ahead of time, when you get to the house, it's just about executing the plan. You're not sitting there making all these decisions and taking all this extra time, because again, time is money. And when you can stage a property in 2 hours or 3 hours, then you can actually do a second property in the same day, doubling your money for that day, when you're very efficient with how you run your business. What are some of the things that you guys do for you know, Cats, the staging company? What are some of the things you do in preparation for a staging that makes it so much easier to run a project?
Well, the way we sectioned off our inventory is key. You know, we have $500,000 worth of stuff, at least, just sitting in one central location, but different warehouse units.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to be able to walk in with the check sheets and Cats personally select. We went with technology, didn't find that to be friendly, because it just constantly gives us more obstacles. So you have to identify, just because something is great, other people are using it. If it doesn't work for you, cut the loss.
Right.
Right? Don't sit there and frustrate yourself and going, I bought this thing, I must use it. You know, it's no different than I have a liberal arts degree, I'm not going to do anything else.
Right. Yeah.
So that to me is key number one. Number two is the efficiency of not over pulling. Like you were saying, why am I dragging all this stuff? You want to pull enough just in case that you needed a few other things. But, you know, that to me is one of the key component in regards to cost factor of loading, unloading, putting back on the shelves, and trucking. So that could save you time and money. One of the things,
packing by the room. So when they were loading bins and so forth, they're loading like, this is going to be for the dining room, this will go in the kitchen. So then when the items come in, you put them in the room where they belong. Versus we've also done where everything comes in, we just unload it all, and we started making selections, pulling and grabbing from off kitchen counters where everything is spread out. It's more efficient to pack by the room. You know, but these are all things that people have to kind of determine, like what works best for them. You know, so keep going.
Well, and the key thing really is, how does it flow? Do you find the flow of the work day in this job smoothly? Because you're spot on in regards to, everybody's a little different in regards to what works and how it works. And if you're a full-on staging company where you own inventory, of course, that's an entire different ball game than, let's say, you're a stager that has soft goods. We started like that. Yeah. We had a very small warehouse that had just like, you know, lamps, pillows, and blankets, and art. You know, yeah, and the art wasn't really, you know, all that. But at a point where we have to decide as a company, how much do we want to infiltrate the luxury business? And by doing that, all of a sudden this, you know, art that is, let's say 36 by something 64, it just all of a sudden dwarfs in these homes, right? So we need to start also to look at art that is size of a wall.
Right.
And when you started going down that road, it's an entire different way of shopping. It's the different ways of planning your budget. So one of the key components that was really great is Kat's extremely creative. She started making her own stuff, you know, because key component for our company to do that is that we can create the kind of color palettes that she is so good at. She's triple certified color specialist. So she sells that certification as part of the package of why Tada and opposed to someone else.
Right.
And you and I both know that once you go down that road, somebody says, "Oh, I want white paint." Okay, which version of the white do you want? There's
like
pulled
30.
out 12. Yeah, exactly. So that's identifying and how you can do your thing and make your signature. And that's a key to me as a stager. Are you artistic? Is that your number one reason in this business? Or is that I just love making money? Okay. So there's that other driving force, right? You need to identify this, because if you don't identify this and you put a wrong foot in front of the other, what you will find is you're constantly chasing yourself on situations that you don't need to be spending time on. Like, for instance, you know, if we're making some kind of campaign, what is the campaign? Well, let's say we're going to offer realtor, you know, packages. Well, what kind of package are you offering, and how many realtors are going to understand this package? So it has to go deeper and deeper and deeper. We gave, you know, new home sales certain type of coupons at one time. You know, why? Because they're so-called smaller builders. They didn't have their inventory homes on the ground staged. So how can we offer them an incentive that they can present to their boss? Because sales counselors don't make these decisions. Right. So understanding those type of key component processes can help you greatly, especially if you're like in beginning of the business, you're doing consultation. So you're carrying your clipboard, you're carrying maybe your device with photos and whatnots. You're not really carrying a lot. Everything's here. Right. It's about your knowledge and know-how. So that component is extremely important. The other aspect of logistics of the individual is the selling part. Most people hate selling, right? But I'm going to tell you, having been in the selling business for a long time, I love it. You know why? You're helping people to reach their happy place. Right. Understand that, right? If you go at it with that intention to everybody you work with, I promise you, you will have a very thriving, very embraced and successful business.
Absolutely. And I think one of the key components for logistics for how our company operates in the team is communication. So usually when something doesn't go as planned during the day, it's because somebody didn't communicate where they were going. Somebody like we have systems for, we know what has to be pulled. If we're not rolling a house one into the other, we need to pull some extras. We have the whiteboard, we have lists that are made. And so, for example, the moving team, we see everything is up on the whiteboard. They go, okay, I need an end table. It's in aisle B1. They go down there, they grab it, and they put it on the truck, and then they come back and they're supposed to cross it off. Well, sometimes what they're doing is they're crossing it off and then going to go get the item in the truck. And what happens is they might cross it off, get distracted. That item never makes it on the truck, but we think it's on the truck because the truck is, loaded. So it's following the process. It's every step, keeping it in the same order. And then the communication, the team tends to text each other during the day. Where are you, logistics and so forth. And that piece of it is very crucial, because, and never assume I told this to the team, if you have a question about something at a house, like when they went to stage a property and they had papers all on the kitchen counter about who the builder was and so forth. And so they didn't put anything on the counter. And so I'm like, next time call me. I said, I would have told you, move those papers off. That's not the selling feature. Move those off, put them in a drawer.
Right.
We can tell the client where they were put, and then we could, put some staging items on there. So that kind of thing is just, never assume, ask questions, and communicate clearly so that everybody is on the same, they're on the same page.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jenny.
Absolutely. Yeah. The communication to your client as well as to your team, that's the true path of how to make sure that there is no missteps. What I always said, when I was running, whether it be entertainment or production lines and so forth, is that we want to make a fail-safe system. And how do we do that? And a couple of things would be, well, double check your work, have somebody else check your work, creating the checklist like you're talking about. But like you said, when you go out of turn, you're destroying the system you created. So trust your system.
Right.
If the system doesn't work, then revamp and revisit why that system didn't work for you. Right.
Yeah. And I think because I have the planning spreadsheet that the team can see, so they know what we were doing. There's the rooms that are being staged, any special notes, and there's the before pictures. So they're supposed to look at the pictures of the property, then they read the notes. They can see what they need. What if they don't do one of those steps? Then it's, well, that wasn't in the notes, or but I'm like, but it was. You would have seen it if you looked at the pictures. And so it's people can't skip steps. We teach this in the class. If you skip steps, you're going to end up in trouble, perhaps. And so it's a step-by-step process, and teaching your team to follow that. And it's trial and error. And anytime, throughout, my business career, being a professional stager, when things didn't go as planned, you can get upset and so forth. But I'm like, you can't change the past, forget it, drive on. What am I going to do so it doesn't happen again? You put a professional policy in place, you add a step, something so that mistakes happen. Let's not dwell on that. How do we make sure that doesn't happen moving forward? And that's all part of your logistics, and your process is basically what logistics is. It's your process for building your company, whether that's your marketing, your sales, the actual physically staging the house. What process you have keeps you most efficient. And the more efficient you are, the more money you're going to make. Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of it is how to grow your business.
Yes.
From a logistic point of view, right? So the thing is, what are you doing for your local community as a staging company, to your realtor community, to your home sales? What are you creating for them to have the WIFA, which is what's in it for me, right? And so the one of the things that I know we've done in the past is the hardship program, which is realtors, they buy into the staging idea, but however, some realtors, are not walking around with bank full of money, right? They may sell 4 to 5 homes and they're scraping by, because as you well know, that the expense it could be 50%. I mean,
right,
so $1,000 is just $500 all of a sudden.
Right.
And that's still, how am I feeding my family and myself with that money? So the key component on some of these things, what we get the hardship was that if a realtor was listing a house, and it was not a luxury or anything that would sit in a jumbo loan or anything like that, because then you have money. So there's no reason behind it. But if you're selling a $220,000 home, you need to stage it. And that's a classic example from my mom's house. My mom was living in a neighborhood that I grew up in. House averaged between 120 to 140. And somebody who fixed it up would be 160, 170. We set a precedent, went over 200. Why? Because we did a lot of renovation, and then we cleaned it up, and then we did a professional staging. It was so over the top in that neighborhood that everybody went, I want to live in this house, right? So with that being the case, the representative, the so-called the agent, they want to use us for the next house. However, with that kind of so-called price point, to drop 2,300, 3,300 or something like that, it was going to be a strain on the agent without having to sell it. So the hardship program we came up with is 50 up front, 50 at close. We don't offer it to everybody. In other words, we don't do marketing campaigns.
Right.
But we offer it to folks that we trust and believe in that they will take care of their clients 100% like the way we would take care of our clients. And that's how we build great relationships and referrals. You know, Kat has done an incredible job in regards to her house profile. If you go look at her portfolio and her reviews, 110, 15 or something like that, 5 stars. And this is not out of accident. This isn't just nonchalantly doing it. This is intently on purpose doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's logistics point of view from marketing, because no different than, you know, when you're looking at a car dealership with JD Powers, when you're looking at Better Business Bureau, whatever, all these things that gives you these awards, right? And in regards to how well you take care of your business is the confidence that you are selling to your prospect. And this is why that when Kat says, hey, take a look at the portfolio I have and look at the reviews of what people say about my company. I have 100 and, you know, X amount of 5-star. If you look at the next person in line, maybe 60. And that's great. You know, yeah, because most people have less than 20.
Right.
And this is where, if you're spending all that time on social media, why are you not touching people and getting reviews and how having people just sing your praises? So
right.
That's logistic number 1, how to teach other people market your business.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because the testimonials are so important, because you have that third party endorsement. So it's not paid. Basically, they love you so much, they put that out there, but you have to ask for them. So we focus on Google reviews and,
yes.
You know, but if you don't ask, you won't receive. And even on LinkedIn to give recommendations, give a recommendation to receive one, so that, you know, you yes. give and receive. And, I mean, we could keep talking for another, you know, 2 hours on logistics and running a business, and but our hour is up, and I appreciate those of you that have tuned in. This will be on our YouTube channel, and we'll post the video up on different platforms on social media. And thank you, Jeff, for being here. We didn't get to talk about your book publishing, but I want to have you come on a different time for that. He does own a book publishing company, and I've given him the Stagerpreneur book because of the, you know, I wrote it, which is great, but formatting it, getting it to look good, and then the whole getting the exposure with podcasts and so forth, and being on different people's shows to get, you know, known there that you've written a book. That's something he also specializes in. So we're going to have you back on the show to talk about that and how all that works, because they make it look like it's so easy, and it's not.
Oh, no, I can tell you right now, you know, you and I have meetings on it already, but every step of the way is to figure out how to make it work the best and the optimal.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, publishing is not for the faint of heart. Publishing is not thrown out there, you know, and just a stick on the wall. But then, you know what? No business is.
Right.
You know, and that's my last nugget that I could to share with everyone is, what is your passion behind running your company? You need to identify it and find it, because without it, yeah, you're just kind of going about a business like you're going to work. And this is not how you run a business. It does not work.
Well, it also, you won't last long. It won't have the longevity. If you don't have a big passion behind why you're doing it, then when struggles happen, and believe me, people experience struggles you have, whether it's a situation or clients or what have you, people that don't have a big, strong why will be like, this isn't worth it. And that's when they leave. So that's right. What are you passionate about? And then crafting your business around that aspect of it, and bringing the right people in, and making sure that you have the processes and things in place so that you can grow. And well, you are just you're very knowledgeable. I mean, his background, you guys, if you ever get a chance to talk with Jeff, I mean, it's fascinating. So, and your movie, what is the movie you guys just put out called?
Well, we get the movie, The 13th Minute, and it's a 20-minute short film that we produced in 2022, won 17 awards at 9 film festivals around the world. It's about music, mastery, artistry, and education. I have a world-class pianist who is Yen Shin. She has a master's in piano and a master's in music composition. She leads a symphony over in Shanghai and tours throughout China and so forth. Then I have a guitar player who is world-class in the heavy metal genre. His name is Rusty Cooley. I wanted to show the difference on the opposite spectrum of the musicality in the instrument that they mastered at. But I wanted to show you the hardship and the intent and the passion from the heart, that if you have it, you execute it, you can become a master. And then the master can actually communicate with each other and create this composition at the end. And this ultimate collaboration became the 13th movie.
And then that, what you just said, could even apply to staging as well, mastering your craft. So I want to watch that for sure. And but I appreciate having you on. Give Kat a big hug and kiss for us, and enjoy your weekend. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to be back next week with a gal from Nashville who I met in a real estate event. And what she's doing to bring business in is something I have never heard of before, and it's genius. And so you guys are going to definitely want to tune in. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you, Jenny. Much love.
Much love.
All right. See you next time.
Okay. My computer's frozen, so I don't know if it's streaming or not.
We're still going.
Yeah, it just froze. Let's see here. Come on. I can't even exit out the page. So if we're still going, I'm just going to keep talking. I did this with Lori by mistake too. That the thing I said to stop streaming, and then my computer froze.
Oh, funny.
Our images are frozen on my screen, but.
So if I exit my browser, probably.
Yeah, you can exit out. That'll be good. Okay. Thanks. Oh, good.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.